Yeah, man. I mean, I was a huge fan of Rosen coming out, and I think he's kind of gotten, you know, a raw end of the stick at both of his stops with Arizona and in Miami most recently. Um, I still think the talent's there. I think with any young quarterback, they got to be given a shot to kind of take their lumps and grow. And I'm just not sure with the Rosen that he's been given that opportunity. But when I think about a potential trade partner for the Dolphins, it's tough, because at the end of the day, there's not very many open quarterback spots, if at all, right now. Then when you think about the teams that have an aging quarterback that could potentially want to bring Rosen in to develop or to see what he has, initially I think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but does Bruce Arians' offense really fit Rosen's kind of style? I'm not so sure. I think about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that would be a pretty good option. And then the two teams that come to my mind that could be fits, which is kind of off the wall. I mean, I think Dallas Cowboys would be interesting to bring him in. If they weren't able to necessarily get a deal done with Dak Prescott, just to see what he has this season, so they can kind of have that insurance. So I think he'd be a really good fit behind the offensive line in the running game. And then the Las Vegas Raiders. I think Gruden, would be salivate, would love the chance to be able to get his hands on Rosen. And I think he'd be a great fit in John Gruden's offense. And with Mariota there, he's only on, I think, a 2-year deal. So, I mean, they're not necessarily tied to him as a backup and or, long-term starter. And, with the Carr situation has been widely talked about. So I think about those four spots. But for me, it's just like none of those four spots are even guarantees that he could even play next year. So it's like, for a young quarterback coming in to the NFL, I mean, it's not a lot of spots. You have Carolina, you have Jacksonville, but they probably want to draft quarterbacks early on in 2021. Same with Chicago. If, depending on what Foles and Trubisky do, it's like, man, it's not a good time to be a young kind of quarterback free agent, which I think we've seen with Cam, and look how long it took for him to sign. So I'm rooting for Josh. I want him to get an opportunity to start. I'm just not sure where it's going to come from.
Jordan, what are your thoughts here, man? Former quarterback.
He's gotten kind of a raw deal, man. It's really hard having that many offensive coordinators, and he really hasn't had one in back-to-back seasons, the same one, I don't think, in quite some time. So it's like
Not since high school.
Well, yeah, it's like that's really tough, man, because I have 4 head coaches when I was in college. So I know that's a different situation, but I had to learn new terminology every single time, and it's like learning a brand new language. So I can't imagine like what he's going through right now, and I think he's really in dangerous waters right now just because with his rookie deal about to expire here soon, and I think like psychologically, I think he might be near his breaking point too, just because I mean, he thought he was going to get a chance in Miami, and they end up, drafting Tua. And then in Arizona, he thought he was going to get a chance too, and he did. He got a chance to show what he could do a little bit. But, I mean, I don't think 1 year is really a logical, time period to find out what you have in a rookie quarterback, especially with the situation that he was in. He just was in a bad environment, in a toxic environment with what was going on there. So it's just a raw deal for him. But I think a team that I do like for him, I think Tampa will be a really good spot for him. I'm sitting behind Brady. I think Brady probably call it quits after 2 years. I think it's fair to say they have a 2-year window there. I think with Bruce, Rosen is very similar to some of the quarterbacks that he's had and that he took under his wing as far as like pupils that he's had previously. So I think that'd be a good landing spot for him, but I'm sure he wants to go somewhere where he can play. I know being a third string in Miami, I know like his agent is probably saying it's not an option for him. He wants to go somewhere we can at least be a backup if something happens. But I think Tampa, that'd be a good spot for him just because I think who's their backup? Gabbert. I think Blaine Gabbert's their backup right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I think he could beat out Gabbert as far as a quarterback competition. But it's going to be interesting, man. Outside of Tampa, I don't really see a lot of spots that I like for him right now. I was going to say Seattle, but I don't think he will be a really good fit there.
Not with that line.
I'm just trying to think on my feet right now. Outside of Tampa.
Jordan,
Yeah, Tampa.
I wanted to say the Vikings, man, but I went and looked at Kirk Cousins' contract, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And then for whatever reason, they're infatuated with Sean Mannion.
Theoretically, that could work, though, because they have, like, 3 fifth-round picks, too. Like, flip them one of those or whatever. But
Yeah.
So here's my thing for Miami. Why would you trade him right now? If you sunk a second-round pick to trade for him, which they traded back in the second and then traded 61, which Arizona, I think, then used on Isabella in 18. What's your motivation to trade a guy who you've got 2 years of control on as a former top 10 pick when Tua has the durability questions that he does have and never played a game for you? Fitzpatrick is in a contract year as a 38-year-old quarterback. His image across the league will probably never be as low as it is right now unless he goes out and plays next time and absolutely stinks it up again. It's like them not having preseason games totally crushed their ability to kind of rehab his image and get good tape with him in this new, simpler offense. And he has taken well to Chan Gailey's simplified offense versus what Chad O'Shea had last year. But if I'm Miami, it's like, okay, my opportunity here is maybe I get like a mid-day 3 pick, maybe, or I have 2 years of a talented arm when I don't know that Tua has the durability yet that I'm paying pennies on the dollar for because Arizona paid all his guaranteed money in his contract. All I have to do is pay the base salary for this year and next year. So if I'm Miami, he has more value to me than he does to anybody else unless you come over the top and give me an offer that blows me out of the water. Like, I'd move him for a 3, but if you're going to offer me like a 4, what's the incentive to move him versus having the insurance policy for this year and next year? So that's why I'm really surprised Miami's fielding offers. Now, whether or not he actually gets dealt is a different story. If they do move him, I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Grier pulls out something like what he did with Raekwon McMillan with the trade that they did last weekend, which they packaged a 5 with McMillan to get back a 4. So you're going to package a day 3 pick with Rosen and try and get like a round earlier pick back? Like, maybe. That's probably the best case scenario for what you can get for Josh right now, because what team's going to trade him for the word of mouth at the beat reporters at camp that he looks good? You haven't seen him play since Washington, and he was awful. So I was kind of caught off guard because it hasn't really entered my mind that Miami would actually seriously consider trading him unless they're going to completely punt on the second-round pick that they invested on him a year ago.
If Miami thinks they got a franchise guy in Tua, they don't care about the second-round pick, I feel like. Like, that's kind of like, they'll take the L on that. But no, I agree with your point. I'm not necessarily sure what would be the reason to trade Rosen. Like, they don't have to.
Right.
By all reports, I was reading that he's like not, making a stink. He's coming to work. He's not probably not happy with his role, but like, he's not being a problem in the locker room. If that's the case, I mean, me personally, I would keep him on the roster. Like, it's definitely more beneficial for me, especially this year, than getting rid of him. But I can't really see beyond like them just not believing and caring 3. I mean, why would you trade him?
yeah, like you said, Kyle, like I wouldn't trade him if I was Miami, but if I'm any other team and all they want is like a 5th or a 6th round pick, like, I don't know, I'm dealing that any day of the week because the salary isn't an issue. Because I think if you trade for him, if you're another team, you owe him, I think, $750K or something, which is a steal for a backup. And I look up some of the backup deals that have went over the last couple of years. Like Josh Dobbs was traded for a 5th last year. And I know that was a bad trade at the time, but like you can get Josh Rosen for a 5th or a 6th. That's much, much better value.
So if you're calling, say you're interested, open-ended question, and Miami says, we've got 2 4s. We've got our 4 and we got the Raiders 4. We'll give you a 4 and a Rosen for a 3. You in or out?
What team am I? Because I don't know. I think that depends too. But I
assume you want him and you're not like a top 10 team. So this isn't a pick that's going to be in the top 75. It'll be outside the top 75.
Then, yeah, I'd do it. If it's not top 75, I'd do it. If I'm like a Buccaneers, yeah.
I would do it if I'm like the Steelers, Bucks. I would do it for sure. I mean, I'll be honest. I watched him his rookie year in Arizona. I didn't think he was that bad. I thought he showed some redeeming qualities, honestly, for a rookie quarterback thrown into that situation with the offensive line. I mean, I didn't think he was that bad. I understand why the Cardinals wanted to move off of him in terms of like getting Kyler. It's a better fit with Cliff. But I mean, like in terms of his play, I wouldn't have watched his rookie year and say, "Oh, we got to get rid of this dude." Like he's not going to develop into something, you know. Like I've seen a whole bunch of other rookies play a lot worse and get 2 or 3 more years, you know. So,
Yep.
I would do that trade in a heartbeat.